Hello there guys, Francis Gray here. Today I've got a new model to show y'all. This is the classic Aurora Styrene plastic kit, the Forgotten Prisoner. Uh, it's a fairly rare kit to get now. I do believe they re-released it later on, I think it was in the 80s. But the original kit was released, I believe, in the 1960s. You might be able to still get one on eBay. But I do think that they are pretty rare now. It's a great kit to build up. It's very fun to build. A little few tricky parts, but I'll get into that later on. Once assembled, it measures 9 inches tall by roughly about 5 inches wide. Features a main skeleton, which is the Forgotten Prisoner, in the upright pose, attached to a castle or a dungeon wall, and then on the base, you've got various forms of animal life. So you've got a rat here gnawing on a skeleton hand or arm bone. Then you've got a snake, and then you've got another rat here, and then you've got a skull, and then obviously you've got a spider slash tarantula here. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see all the details. The kit, because it's a styrene kit, it's hollow, so there's nothing really going on at the back there. So if you ever see photos of this on my page, it's basically just like from there to there, because obviously there's no point photographing the back. How I basically made this, I basically just started off with grey prime in the base. Obviously attached the floor part to the back base part. Give it a lighter grey paint job over it to basically just give it 2 coats of grey. Then I went round with my airbrush and darkened all the nooks and crannies and this alcove and stuff like that, and then went over with a lighter dry brush of mushroom grey to basically just highlight all the edges to just show all the detail on the rocks. And then I went around with PVA glue, and then added PVA glue to wherever I would feel like moss would accumulate, so like around the fastenings and all these little nooks and crannies in this alcove here on the base. Then I added some scenic grass scatter. Basically you can get that in any good model railway store. Just left that to dry, brushed off the excess, and then went over again with gloss varnish, and then that just basically gives it a wet look, so it looks like it's dank, wet, moisture in the moss. I did all the silver parts to all the cage bars and the hooks on the walls there, and then basically just dry brush like a copper over the top to make it look like it's rusted, and just left. The actual figure itself, it was a little bit tricky to put together in some parts. The main problem you got with building this kit is, obviously if it being a skeleton and it's hollow, you can see through. So you can see through the skull, you can see through the rib cage, the stomach part there, and then the back part of the trousers. So some people, and the arms as well, back parts of the arms here. So some people would probably just rush and assemble a skeleton, then go to paint them, and then realise that all these parts on here are still white or still grey primed, and they would stand out a mile. So basically what I did was I started off by painting the insides first. So with it being like his old clothes, I just basically kept it the same drab dark green. And then once I've give that 2 or 3 coats, I then assembled the main torso, and and then obviously painted over the main torso, and then added and painted the bones separate, so you got your skull, your hands, your legs, your feet, etc. And then once they had all been weathered and and dry brush highlighted. Basically just assembled it. Now the only problems that I had with this really was this hand here connects to a little peg on the inside of here, but it was very fiddly. The only way I could get it to glue was I had to put glue on the peg, push the hole in, and then get a paintbrush and jam it in there to keep this part in the peg. Then obviously a couple of hours later remove the paintbrush, and then obviously it's stuck in place. And then you gotta get this lined up to the fastening on the wall, but at the same time you then gotta model the feet. So what I did was I basically used Revell styrene glue, and then because you can glue it, but it takes a while to set. So you've got a couple of probably about 10 minutes modeling time. So basically I glued them in place, and then glued the feet in place, and then put him on, glue this in place, and then because the glue was still setting, I then managed to like set him down a little bit, so it adopted a natural kind of stance. Now I know some people would say like it's not feasible that, you know, a skeleton would still be in one piece or freestanding, but that's just what the model is. That's just how it comes. Not too sure where it's actually from. I don't know if it's from a scene from a film. I believe it's actually from a book, but I'm not 100% sure what the book is. If you know yourself, please let me know in the comment section below, because I'd love to know. I might even look it up. So yeah, I'll have a quick zoom in. So obviously you've got the Forgotten Prisoner nameplate, the wall fastening to the neck connection, then we have the spider / tarantula. Now originally I just painted that a black, and I dry brushed a medium grey over the top to express some of the highlights, but he seemed to blend in too much, so I thought, well, there's quite colourful tarantulas out there, and the most common one is probably the one with like orange yellowy kind of highlights in its legs and its back. So yeah, I decided to just go for that, so that stands out a bit more. And then we've got the base, so scenic sand scatter there, and then after it dried, I went over it with airbrush black from my airbrush gun, just a very light colour. So you might see there's like a difference in the colour scheme there. Basically, just gets across that it's all dank, wet soil / sand just left there. And then obviously, you know, we've got the rats, the snake. I never understood why the snake would be ignoring that rat. I thought he would probably just eat it, but anyway, he's just ignoring it, and he's just off doing his own thing. This rat, and then we've got a random skull, and then we've got, which is probably my favourite part, a little rat here, gnawing on somebody's arm bone there. So yeah, so that's about it really. Not much else to tell you, and not much else to talk about. Just a fun kit to build, but it is a little bit on the tricky side. But I would recommend building it if you're a fan of horror or skeletons, etc. So yeah, so I do recommend it, but only if you can get one for a good price. Please click the like button and share on Facebook and Twitter, guys, if you enjoyed this, because it helps new people find my channel, which I'm always appreciative. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe for future model kit builds and statue reviews. And nothing else to say, but thank you for watching, and see you next time. Thank you very much, and goodbye.